Spot On is supported by the Boston University Sargent College's Master of Science degree in Nutrition program. Log on to bu.edu to learn more about this fabulous nutrition graduate program. You are listening to Spot On, a health and wellness podcast that breaks through the latest media headlines to provide you with accurate and usable information that is, well, spot on to meet your needs. I am your host, Dr. Joan Salge Blake, a nutrition professor at Boston University and the author of the college textbook called Nutrition and You, which is used in colleges across the United States and abroad. Today on Spot On, we're going to be talking about the beginner's guide to meal prep. You know, we came up with this idea because we read a survey. Just cracks me up, but according to a Google Cooking Trends survey, they asked young adults, you know, what is their most burning question you have about meal prep? And get ready for this. The number one question was, where do I put my phone so I don't spill on it? Is that hysterical or what? And that leads us to believe that there's a lot of young adults getting in the kitchen and they're lost. And of course, whenever you're lost, you go to your phone to figure out the directions to help you around. So we figured from all of this that there is a need out there to help with getting meals on the table in record time. So let's go to the street and find out what people think about meal prepping.
I personally do a little bit of meal prep, only for like ingredients or parts of my meal that are kind of more difficult to prepare in the moment.
I've never done food prepping personally, but I know that it's a good thing, a good method for people that work out so that they can control their calorie intake.
So I think meal prep is a pretty good option because you can prepare your meal for like the future days. Like if you need to go to work or if you need to go to school and you don't have time to prepare for the meals that day, you can just eat what's left over from the previous day. It's gonna save you a lot of times.
I like to prep overnight oatmeals for class usually, just because they're super convenient and healthy. Other than that, I usually don't do a lot of food prepping beforehand. I honestly don't like cooking as well. So
you can control calories and stuff, and it's also great for you can always prepare whatever you want to eat and how exactly you want the food to be made.
I think that meal prepping is a great idea, and I think it's convenient because it's healthier than eating packaged microwavable foods, and it helps save time. I think that prepping fresh food will improve your health and your mood a lot.
I'm like pretty comfortable with meal prep, but only if it's stuff that I plan to like cook later, like the easy to eat.
I think meal prep is really good because you can control what you eat and it's very convenient, especially for people who are very busy.
Once again, I'm so excited to be here on Spot On talking about this topic that, how do we get healthy, quick meals on the table? And for a lot of us, we are kitchen impaired or cooked impaired, and we don't know how to do it. So I brought in a rock star. In fact, you've all heard of her if you've listened to the first season of Spot On, and she was the guru on fad diets from keto to paleo, and I have to tell you that it was one of the most popular segments in the first season. So if you haven't listened to it, please go back and do it, because my good friend from New York City, Toby Amidor, who is here on the phone, is the founder of Toby Amidor Nutrition, and she provides nutrition and food safety consulting services. She has 4 cookbooks, one of which is going to be one we're going to focus on today, called Smart Meal Prep for Beginners. So everybody take notes. She's got the Greek Yoga Kitchen cookbook. She's got the 5 easy ingredient healthy cookbook, which is a staple in my kitchen. And she has one coming out, which I can't even wait. It'll be out in 2020. It's the best rotisserie chicken cookbook ever. I mean, rotisserie chicken is always my go-to, so I'm hoping to get some recipes from her. She writes all the time on U.S. News and World Report. They ask the expert in today's dietitian. She's on television. I don't even think she sleeps. So anyway, with that, I want to welcome Toby. How are you?
Hi. I'm great. Thanks so much for having me.
Yes, I'm so glad that you are back on Spot On, talking about this. I get this question all the time. Either they can cook in their apartments that they have on campus or off campus, most likely. They don't know where to begin and how to have a healthy meal and how to get it on the table. That must have been a reason. Why did you write the Healthy Meal Prep Cookbook?
It's really funny, and I think I introduced it in the Healthy Meal Prep, the first one that I wrote. And basically, so my grandmother, it's funny, you learn everything from your grandmother. So my grandmother, she used to visit, she had 5 brothers and sisters in Israel, and every time she'd leave my grandfather, she would leave meals for a month because she would go for a month. And because he only wanted her food. And so she would leave portions of them for an entire month for him so he can always warm it up when she was gone. It was very funny, but that's where I originally learned it. Growing up, my grandma always did it.
So she must have prepped a month prior to the month she had to leave.
She did a few. She's still alive, actually. She just turned 94. Yeah. But so she's a very, very good cook, and she would do a lot of the meal stuffed peppers, just stuffed meatballs, things that just really good for meal prep that you could just spend a day or two doing, and then she would just make single portions for him. It's great.
Well, you should have told me this in advance. I would have had your grandmother on the episode with us. She would have been terrific. It was terrific. So that's so funny. So you actually grew up seeing this. The cookbook is doing fabulous. So obviously there is a need to help people learn to meal prep to save time and money and put good nutrition on the table. So what were you hearing?
Yeah, so what I was hearing a lot of was that people time is a commodity, and none of us have enough time. How many times have you said, I wish there were 25 hours in a day, And so just being able to shave off half hour, 45 minutes of making dinner, let's say that's for a family, but for yourself, you can actually also shave off time if you make some stuff in advance. And if you enroll a roommate to do it together with you, you can actually shave off a little more time there. But that's really what it's all about. It's about saving time, but still being able to exercise and still being able to cook healthy and eat healthy. And, we do want to study, and you need to fuel yourself to study properly. When I was in school, I remember going to the vending machine getting junk food, and that put me right to sleep. That wasn't very helpful for fueling my brain either. So you do want to eat right too.
Sure. And that's I love the idea of getting the roommate. So we have a buddy system here to help prep. That's a fabulous idea. Make the prep, time go in half, and then you can plan your meals for the week. And I'm sure you're going to tell us how to do that. It's funny what you said, or sad that what you said, that time is at a premium because we're so busy. But I did some research on this. Back in the 1960s, we were okay about investing about 65 minutes in preparing and cleaning up dinner, and now we want it. About 37 minutes is top, and I think that is so interesting, and it just supports exactly what you just said. We don't have the time to spend over an hour prepping and getting dinner on the table. We have to do it quick. So you are here to help us do that. I find that people love to watch cooking shows, and they're not only just watching it on television, but they're also watching it at YouTube. But I don't see that translating them to doing more cooking. Do you see that?
Not necessarily, and I think they like to watch the competitions more than the actual cooking.
That's right.
Which is so funny because it's whenever I go do my nails or something, they always have the TV shows showing the cooking shows on TV, and I'm like, turn it off. I talk about cooking all day. This is not relaxing.
That's right.
The funniest thing.
Right. So for you and your family, do you do this? I mean, do you prep on Sundays or prep one day of the week? And
well, it's hard. It's hard for me to prep everything. I have 3 kids, and they have activities, and we're running around. So for me to sit all day on a Sunday, so sometimes I just do it twice during the week. But I do plan out my week, so it's very easy. Also, so I might do like Sunday a few recipes for Monday and Tuesday. Like I love to do chili in my slow cooker. It's the easiest thing.
Yes.
And literally, you throw in a bunch of ingredients, press on, mix it and press on for X amount of hours, time it, and you're done. And then you have a meal for several. Especially if you're 1 or 2 people, you have a meal for several days, 2-3 days. And then Wednesday I would do something else for the kids and for myself.
Yeah,
so.
Slow cooker is have saved me, and I don't think that a lot of young adults understand how phenomenal that is. Tell them how the slow cooker works, because a lot of people are not aware of that.
I know, because the Instant Pot is very popular, but that works a little bit quicker. The slow cooker is actually meant for you to go out of the house for many hours and then just toss in whatever ingredients. Let's say you're going to do, if you're going to do some meat, or you're going to do a soup or a chili or a stew, and you throw in the ingredients, and then you can actually set it on low for more hours, and it cooks while you're out of the house going to classes or whatnot. And then you come home, and you don't have to worry about it, and the meal is ready.
Yeah,
so there's not much to do.
No, it is absolutely fabulous, and I think a lot of young adults don't even realize this. But if this is the one thing you could, Google, Amazon, do whatever, and get this, because they're very inexpensive, and this will save you so much time. And like you said, Toby, when you make chili in a slow cooker, you have chili for days. I mean, you could
freeze half for another. You have so much, you can freeze half for another time. And the slow cooker, I think it ran me like $30. I didn't get a fancy one,
right?
But I got a large one. It was like $30.
Yeah,
and then I had a 20% coupon.
Right,
It really wasn't that expensive.
That's right. They are affordable, and you will save not only time but save money, because if you can make a couple meals out of it, we know that that's going to stretch the dollar. I read another interesting statistics, which kind of leads to maybe why a lot of young adults don't know how to shop or prepare meals in advance, and that home economics, the participation of home economics, or even the availability of home economics in schools, has gone down 40% in the last decade.
Oh, my goodness. And it's funny because everyone used to be like, oh, home economics, why do you need to know that? Because I've read that, when they actually had the Betty Crocker coming out and whatnot, one of the steps, which is not even homemade stuff, it's, a mix, one of the steps was to fold the flour or fold in whatever ingredient was in there.
Yep.
People don't even know what the word fold is.
Right.
So just little terms and recipes, that's what home economics can help with.
That's right. So you go back to those recipes, and you have to be Googling what is fold in, and you're going to get a lot of answers, including mailing cards and now folding in maybe sour cream into your chilies. So tell me, in your cookbook, which is your favorite? I hate to say this is like saying of your 3 children, which is your favorite, but which is your favorite recipe that you have in the Healthy Meal Prep Cookbook?
I have to say my kids help me also.
Mm-hmm.
So and they started loving and requesting now recipes from certain books. But a lot of times breakfast is like a big one in my house.
Yes.
So one of the ones from breakfast that they really like is I have fruit salsa and yogurt crepes.
Ooh.
So crepes are a little tricky to make, but I have a very simple recipe, so you can always make them in advance. And then you can put, if you didn't want to cut up fruit to make a little salsa, you could just cut up regular fruit or just put blueberries, something small, or just dice something in with whatever yogurt you like.
Right.
So once you make the crepes in advance, you're kind of good to go. It takes literally two minutes to put your favorite yogurt and a fruit in there, and you're good to, and you can even chop up some nuts if you want, and you're good to go.
Oh, that's good, because I know with my children, who are young adults also, brunch is like this big thing now. Like everybody's doing brunch. So on the weekend, that would be a really fun, way to have everybody over and have brunch and be serving those crepes. What's your favorite dinner there?
So my favorite dinner, I actually do have a chili recipe in here.
Okay.
I have a white chicken chili. in the slow cooker, so that's really easy. And then my absolute favorite recommendation, which I did with my kids, and they absolutely loved it. And my son's going to college next year, so hopefully he'll
okay. So
he'll take some of these.
That's the seal of approval. If we have a college person that loves this, okay. What is it? Go ahead, tell us.
So I'll make the white chicken chili and then use leftovers to put in quesadillas.
Oh.
So you put the chili in between, like you take cooking spray, you put it like a tortilla on the pan after you like put cooking spray and you heat it up. Then put a couple spoonfuls of the chili with a sprinkle of cheese.
Okay.
And this one I have some spinach. You can actually put some spinach in it if you want as well.
Right.
Cover it, and then that's it. Like then you just heat it up in the oven, or you could do it in stovetop. Either way, and then you flip it, on each side for a few minutes to heat it up, and you're done.
Good. And can you do that in the microwave, Toby?
The only thing is I like the oven. It gets a little bit. It might be a little softer in the microwave, but you could.
Okay, good.
To melt the cheese.
Right.
Probably just watch the seconds on the clock. You don't want it too long, or the quesadilla might get too soft.
Right. There you go. Why is it white chili?
Because I use chicken in this one as opposed to beef, which I like to use in chili. And I also have vegetarian chilies, too, in my books.
Okay.
I mix it all up.
Yes.
So whatever you like to eat, you can, shake things up during the week.
That's good to know because, a lot of young adults are eating a variety of foods. And, on Monday they're vegetarian, and then Tuesday they want poultry, and Thursday they want ground beef. So this is good. We have enough recipes that satisfy everyone. So in your book, when I was looking at it, you have something that I think is terrific, and I know a lot of people have asked me in the past. This is what they want. You have a flexible 2-week meal plan for ready-to-go healthy meals. Tell us about that.
So it depends. So that's in the Healthy Meal Prep Cookbook.
Yeah.
So I have basically 3 different eating plans depending on how you like to eat. So I have something called clean eating, but I define it the way as a dietitian. For me, clean eating is basically eating, it could be fresh, canned, or frozen vegetables as long as they're basically in their main form without a lot of saturated fat or added sugars to it. Eating whole grains, eating dairy, low fat or non-fat. So basically a variety of foods. You just don't want something super overly processed.
Right.
Milk I'm okay with,
Right.
We have to process food, bread is processed and all that, but that's fine as long as you're looking at more whole grains and looking for fiber and, nutrient-rich food. So that's my clean eating. Weight loss, which is just a little, less calories, and it's tough for me to write for every single so I think I do a 1,800 or 1,600 calorie diet, but if you exercise and need a little more, you can always add to that. And then muscle building, where I add just a little bit more protein to that one. I have 2 days, so two meal prep Sundays, basically, or whatever day you meal prep, and then so that lasts for 2 weeks.
See, this is great. This is exactly what people need. They want ideas. People always say to me, just tell me what to eat. Just tell me what to eat, and I'll buy it, and I'll eat it. So this way, in the book, you have, these meals laid out, depending on what your needs are, and they can go shopping and get the ingredients.
And then they can use other recipes. Let's say there's an ingredient they don't eat or a type of food they don't eat, because it's hard to give a meal plan to someone, and then you're like, okay, I have, X. Oh, no, but I don't eat it.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's, at least here you can swap in whatever recipe that fits your lifestyle and your eating pattern.
Right. That's super. And I just want to tell everybody that we are going to put a picture of the Healthy Meal Prep Cookbook on the Spot On Facebook page and a link to it. Do you sell this, Toby, on your website, or should they get this through Amazon? Where can they get the book?
Amazon has all my books because I have 2 meal prep ones. I have Smart Meal Prep and the Healthy Meal Prep.
Okay.
And then in my website, it links you to Amazon and Barnes & Noble.
Okay, fabulous. And I'll put your website up there, too. You often talk about meal prep mistakes, which I thought was very, very clever. So you had about 5 mistakes that people, commonly make, and then, they get a little frustrated. So I'd love to go through these because, I really want to get our listeners just do more meal prepping because it does save time, it does save money, and it's better for you. We know that when you cook more at home, you tend to have healthier meals and more vegetables than when going out all the time or takeout. So I want to make sure we get through these common mistakes so people don't make them, so that they'll have more success. So the first one you talked about is you don't plan ahead. So tell me about, what does that mean?
So it's really important for meal prepping. Planning is essential. You need to schedule. First of all, you have to pick your recipes, so you need to find time to do that. You need to make your shopping list, because the worst thing, Joan, how annoying is it when you come home and then you go to the cabinet, you're like, oh no, I already have 3 of these.
Right.
And so you're wasting your own money. Let's say you buy another spice again.
Right.
So you have to, I always go with literally a pen and paper. You could do it with your phone too. And I look in my pantry. I literally sit in my kitchen, look at my pantry, and then write my list so I don't double buy anything.
Right. You're making me smile here because you know how many jars of cinnamon I have, ground cinnamon. I mean, I could take you all the way through the fall with all the cinnamon that I have here. Anyway,
but everybody does that same thing. They I should have checked.
Right.
And do check. I check every single time. And then after that, you have to schedule to buy it, and then, of course, schedule to cook it and divvy it up. Because if you don't divide it, you actually might eat too much of a portion one day, leaving yourself with not enough food the next day. So everything really is down to a science in terms of planning.
Do you, before you eat at that meal, you put it in individual containers so we have 2 meals worth right away?
Yeah, that's my last step. I have actually 5 steps to meal prepping and smart meal prep, and the last step is make sure you divide everything up. And you could do it how you like. So some people like it all in one box. Some people like it with different compartments in the box. So there's different boxes available, inexpensive, on Amazon that you could stock up on so you're ready to meal prep.
Right.
And do whatever do you ever see on the plate how many people don't like their food touching versus other people who like their food touching? It's kind of the same idea.
Right.
You do it how you like.
Are you having trouble sleeping, focusing, or relaxing? If the answer is yes, then the TM Softs White Noise Sleep Sounds podcast has got you covered. This hour-long podcast is made to help you get rid of distractions, reduce stress, relax, and most importantly, get better sleep. You can listen to sounds of nature, white noise, relaxing music, and much, much more. You can check out the TM Softs White Noise Sleep Sounds podcast on Spotify or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast.
The second one is you don't take stock of what you already have. You talked a little bit about that. And you talk about food waste. You know how much I'm crazy about food waste. Americans waste, 133 billion pounds of food annually. It makes me crazy. So talk a little bit about that.
So I think part of it's like your cinnamon. And by the way, another stat is about 1 out of 4 grocery bags that come home go to food waste. I've read that stat as well. But, you don't know what you already have. Also in terms of expensive items like meats, and that's why when I go shopping, too, I write exact portions, and you can actually tell your fishmonger to cut the fish, the size you want it.
Oh.
You can tell, it's really interesting. You can go to your market and tell, somebody, something, please cut this piece of beef to have it, I want 1 1/4 pounds. I don't need 3 pounds. So those are different ways to minimize food waste when you get home and also eat healthy so you don't overeat in terms of calories. But like I said, I have a shopping list, and when I write my cookbooks, I actually prepare about 16 meals in 2 days.
Wow.
Because I have to, some of mine are very quick turnaround cookbooks, so I have a lot of experience with mass preparation in this sense. And so you really have to sit there with every recipe and take a little notepad and write down everything you need. And if it's a half a pepper, I do a half a pepper plus a half a pepper. I add it up. So at the end, I know I only need 1 pepper, so I don't buy 2 or 3 and have food waste. So, I'm very diligent with something like that.
So in essence, you should probably shop your refrigerator and your cabinets before you go food shopping so you don't overbuy.
Exactly. And sometimes you can even substitute. Let's say you have some extra broccoli coming, in your house, and a recipe calls for cauliflower, for example.
Mm-hmm.
You can always substitute. Usually, it depends on what it is. Like for a stir fry, you can always substitute it if it makes sense. And so that way you're shopping your refrigerator and you are making some substitutions to help, your cost too, keep it down and minimize that food waste.
That's very important because people think a recipe is you have to stick to it. It's like you can't deviate from it. But just think about it. Somebody made up this recipe, and if the person really liked cauliflower over broccoli, that person who made up the recipe used cauliflower. But if you like broccoli, put broccoli in. But people often think, oh my goodness, I can't, deviate from it, but really you can.
Exactly. You absolutely can. And I actually have Toby's tips on my recipes. Oh. And a lot of the Toby's tips, sometimes it's a cooking tip, how to store your herbs, because a lot of people don't know how to store certain herbs or fruit and vegetable. And sometimes it's like substitutions. If you don't like brown rice or quinoa or, and it's okay not to like, certain foods, but then substitute another healthy food in its place, and that's okay.
Right. Pasta, whatever you want. Super. The third one is you over prep. So that's interesting. So, how, we think, I would think you can't over prep, but you tell me.
Yeah, you can actually over prep. Some of the meals you might prep don't go in the freezer. Something with lettuce, like a salad, might last you a few days. But if you're like super over prepping, sometimes you look on Instagram and you realize you see these photos of someone who did like 15 meals. By the way, it's very, very tough to do 15 meals in one day because I could do about 8 or 9, and that's me doing this for many years. But that's a lot. You don't have to do that much. It's funny, people don't realize how they don't eat as much as they think. We eat with our eyes, I think, is the saying goes.
Right.
But especially meals that don't freeze, you want to be careful how much you prep because sometimes those fresh fruit and vegetables can spoil. So sometimes it's better to prep twice that week if you want something like a fresh salad every single day because it doesn't always hold up so well in the fridge.
It's interesting you said that, Toby, because I'm a little late in the game here, but you're going to be proud as a peacock about me because I got like a mini watermelon. And what I used to do was, chop it all up and put it in, Tupperware and get it ready for the week. But what I noticed by the end of the week, the watermelon's getting a little on the mushy side. So now what I do, is I only cut half of it and cube it up in it. And then I weigh the other, on Wednesday, I cut up the other half. I leave it in the refrigerator. But this way I don't cut it all up at once and it stays fresher.
Yep, because when you cut it into small pieces, it oxidizes, so some of the nutrients also are actually diminished in that way too. So you're actually maintaining the nutrients by keeping half the melon whole. I do the same, actually.
Oh, gosh, 2 peas in a pod. I'm so excited.
Yes, we are.
Good. I do one thing you do. I'm so excited. All right, you have another one. Number 4 is you divide. Well, you talked about it. You divide meals later, so you don't want to do that. You want to do it right away and get them into the container so that this way, otherwise you're going to overeat maybe one meal and not have it for another. So you want to do that in advance, right?
Yeah, because it helps, of course, with the portion control, and also it prevents the last-minute scrambling to divide your meals.
Right.
Again, if you take too much during one, and then you're going to end up scrambling, oh, no, I don't have enough to eat, and I don't have enough time to prep something else. So you don't want to get, left in that pickle.
Right. The last one you have, you don't have fun with it. So what do you mean by that? Do people get, overwhelmed because they feel like they got to spend all day Sunday meal prepping?
Yeah, some people think they have to prep every single meal for every single day. And in my second book, the Smart Meal Prep book, I actually give different meal plans in that one, starting with only 3 different recipes. So you don't have to do 15 recipes or 8 recipes or even 5. If you're comfortable by just doing 3 and meal prepping just lunches for that week, that's okay. If you know you're going to eat on campus, whatever meal it is, then you don't have to worry about it. Just plan in advance when you're going to be eating where.
Right.
And, if you're going to be eating on campus, then have an idea of what you're going to be eating and, so it's a little bit healthier choice. Let's say you're going to be eating chicken that day, so you're not going to be cooking chicken at home for that night too.
Right. We started this segment when you were saying you get your roommate to do it with you. I think that's brilliant. It's almost like having a meal prep party. Get everybody over and start prepping, and you can hang out with your friends and prep on a Sunday or whatever you want to do, and they can take the meals home with them, and you're hanging out with your friends. It's like a night out, but a night in, and you're meal prepping. So I think that's a great idea.
Yep, if you have like even one or two roommates, you can meal prep numerous meals and try to get like a lasagna, because that one has a lot of servings to it, or a meatballs or a stew or chili or soup. Yeah, and then, one person can prep one recipe, another the other, or someone could be the sous chef and do the chopping or whatever it is. And you can enjoy it, together. And then you can study later on without worrying about dinner.
And if you put Netflix on, you can be binge watching and chopping at the same time in the kitchen.
Or if somebody hates cooking, then you send them to the supermarket to do the food shopping.
Great.
You divvy up everybody's task.
Or if they don't like cooking, they clean up. How about
there
that?
You go. There you go. They can shop and clean.
There you go. So what are your top essential foods that you should stock in your kitchen? If you had 5 to say, these are 5 things that I go to all the time, and make sure you have them stocked in your cabinet to help you in your meal prep.
I have more than 5, and that's hard. But I like in my pantry, I always keep an olive oil just for cooking. In terms of ingredients, I love canned foods because they don't spoil, and sometimes when I need, or frozen. So I love my frozen vegetables. Of course, with the vegetable is the only ingredient in there. And then I love my canned beans and canned tomatoes. Those are just some go-to ingredients. I always have quinoa in my pantry. Or it could be a bagged tuna salad. I mean, these are just really simple ingredients to have that you can make different things with. I'm trying to think what else. Nuts is a definite snack for me, so I'll make like a homemade trail mix, and then I'll bag them up to individual portions, so then when I'm running out the door, I can take one. As opposed to, because nuts certainly are healthy, but they also have calories in them, so you can end up taking 3-4 handfuls, and that could be a couple hundred calories. You don't need so much. So you can, put them in little snack baggies and divvy them up in advance, or little containers, whatever you like to do, and then you can, when you're running out the door or studying, you could just grab one and know, where you're supposed to finish.
So if they want to get kick-started with this, maybe this weekend, and say, do you make a draft a friend and come on and let's meal prep, how many recipes should you prep, like maybe the first time? I don't want to overwhelm everybody.
Right. If you're not a cook, then I would start with maybe 3 or 4 recipes, and simple ones. Make sure they don't have a ton of ingredients. Read through. People make the mistake and they don't read through the recipe. So read through it in advance to understand what you're doing. And then make sure you understand what it's saying. If something is too complex or you're not sure about it, then skip it. Leave it for when you're, a better cook or you're more experienced. Start simple, simple, simple.
And, Toby, you don't have to every week have new recipes, for goodness gracious sake. Like find 15 recipes that you like or your roommate likes and just keep making them over and over again, right?
Absolutely. What I would suggest is, let's say, start with 3. If it's a recipe you've cooked 100 times, good, add it. And then, check off the recipes you love or mark the pages or whatnot. And the ones you hate, actually write no. Just write, I don't like this one. I tried it. So you don't go back to it. And don't make that one again. That's fine.
Right. Super. So you don't need a whole ton. You just need a few of Toby Amidor's fabulous recipes from her cookbooks. I think where I'm motivated this Sunday, I'm gonna do some batch cooking of myself. All right, Toby Amidor from New York City, our guru here. We'll have her picture of her and her links to all her book and her website on the Spot On Facebook page. And Toby, thanks again for being on Spot On.
Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you for listening to Spot On. Please subscribe to Spot On your favorite podcast app for new episodes every week. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Joan Salge Blake. And also like our Spot On Facebook page and suggest topics for future episodes. And oh, by the way, could you ask 5 of your friends or family members to download Spot On and subscribe to it? Do I ask a lot from you?